Hey everyone, and welcome to today's explainer. So, if you've ever stood over a wilted, just absolutely tragic-looking houseplant and wondered, where did it all go wrong, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating, highly relatable piece of writing all about the trials, the tribulations, and ultimately the unexpected compromises of gardening. We're going to focus on one specific, very stubborn plant and that incredibly frustrating experience of trying to keep a finicky piece of nature alive. Honestly, it's a journey from total botanical heartbreak to a remarkably pragmatic solution. Okay, let's dive into this. The story comes to us from an author named Ang from a blog series simply called Notes on Gardening. But I want you to pay attention to the part number there in the parentheses, part 957. Right? That single number tells us so much. We are dealing with a deeply dedicated, highly experienced gardener here. This isn't someone who just bought their first trowel yesterday. And yet, listen to the language Ang uses. I've been trying to grow bougainvillea for so many moons. I mean, that phrase, so many moons, it just beautifully captures a very distinct kind of weariness. It's not just a few days or weeks of failure. We're talking about a cyclical, drawn-out battle against nature itself. It sets the stage perfectly for the central conflict of our explainer today. Section 1, the bougainvillea struggle. You know, the bougainvillea is notoriously beautiful, but man, is it incredibly demanding. To really understand the frustration here, you have to appreciate the sheer elbow grease involved. Ang didn't just buy a fully grown plant from a nursery and hope for the best. Now, the process started right at step 1, with delicate little seedlings before moving to step 2, which is painstaking propagation from scratch. And this brilliantly illustrates the kind of dedication that requires exact moisture, perfect timing, and just endless patience. If you have ever tried to propagate a finicky plant from a cutting, you know exactly how validating and simultaneously maddening this whole sequence can be. Ang put in the work. The effort was completely flawless. But as we all know, effort in gardening doesn't always equal success. Which brings us to section 2, defeated by the microclimate. Because here's the harsh reality. No matter how perfectly you execute the planting, you literally cannot negotiate with the atmosphere. It all boils down to this single, powerful word: microclimate. So the crucial point is that despite all those seedlings and all that careful propagation, a garden's specific, unyielding microclimate can be the ultimate villain. For Ang, it was like hitting an invisible brick wall that prevented the bougainvillea from ever actually thriving. Section 3, the pragmatic plastic solution. This brings us to a totally unexpected yet surprisingly practical resolution. Just follow the timeline here. We start with those many moons of failure, right? Utterly defeated by the garden's microclimate. Well, that leads to step 2, a completely mundane, everyday trip to the local hardware store. And that is exactly where human ingenuity steps in to fill the void. Step 3 is the epiphany. Out of nowhere, Ang stumbles upon a plastic bougainvillea that looks, in Ang's own words, amazingly close to the real thing. I mean, there is a wonderful comedic irony here, isn't there? In a blog series that is literally on its 957th entry about actual dirt-under-the-fingernails gardening, our author finds salvation in the artificial plants aisle. It's a moment of surrender, for sure, but also a moment of immense, undeniable relief. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer pragmatism it reveals when we compare these two approaches. The real bougainvillea, it demands a perfectly suitable microclimate, punishing full sun exposure, and high constant maintenance. It's a total diva. On the flip side, Ng points out that while they aren't usually keen on plastic plants, you really can't deny the benefits here. The plastic alternative completely bypasses that villainous microclimate. It is absolutely perfect for indoor decor, requires literally zero sun, zero maintenance, and best of all, it removes the stress entirely. Which brings us to a final thought, and really the ultimate takeaway from Ang's 957th gardening note. If a plant offers the exact same visual beauty to your space, but completely removes the need for sun, the mess of the soil, and the outright sorrow of watching it slowly wither away in the wrong microclimate, does it really matter if it's plastic? Sometimes the most dedicated hardcore gardeners are the ones who know exactly when to concede defeat to nature and simply embrace the artificial. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, I hope it brings you a little peace of mind the next time you find yourself wandering the aisles of the hardware store.